Hello, everybody. You're listening to Let's Master English, and my name is Coach Shane. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for downloading our Let's Master English podcast 25. Today, I've got some news for you. Some facts from Country Shane. We've got 4 great questions, and one of them is about American culture. It should be very interesting. I've got a letter from one of my DDM students, and iTunes statistics. So that's what's coming up. I hope that you enjoy the podcast. Enough chit-chat. Let's begin. What's in a name? In America, most people have 3 names. Their given names, first and middle, and their family names, last name or surname. Most Americans only go by their first or last name, but new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent. Michael J. Fox, George W. Bush, and multiple initials increase your intellectual image. George H. W. Bush, J.D. Salinger. From now on, call me Coach Shane M. Peterson, please. What? Lots of stuff about names. Let's listen again. What's in a name? In America, most people have 3 names. Their given names, first and middle, and their family names, last name or surname. Most Americans only go by their first or last name. But new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent. Michael J. Fox, George W. Bush, and multiple initials increase your intellectual image. George H. W. Bush, J.D. Salinger. From now on, call me Coach Shane M. Peterson, please. Well, basically, the story is if you use your middle name as an initial, people will think you are smarter. Believe it or not. Well, let's go ahead and look at the sentences. So the first sentence, what's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? What is in a name? And that question means, is there a deep or a special meaning attached to someone's name? Does your name have a special image? Does your name sound intelligent? Does your name sound fun? Does your name sound stupid? I'm sure your name does not sound stupid. In America, most people have 3 names. Their given names, first and middle, and their family names, last name or surname. Okay, so I think you know that. In America, most people have 3 names. So my name is Shane. My mother gave me that name. My middle name is Michael, which is actually my dad's first name. So Shane, Michael, and then I have my last name or my surname, Surname. That's my family name, which is Peterson. So my full name is Shane Michael Peterson. My given names are Shane Michael, and my family name is Peterson. Most Americans only go by their first or last name. So when you meet an American, they'll usually say, "My name is Shane." Or sometimes if they don't introduce themselves, you will know their name and you should say, "Mr. Peterson," or in my case, Coach Peterson. But I introduce myself as Coach Shane. So once again, I use my first name. That's most common. I go by my first name and the title Coach. Now, my dad, his name is Michael Peterson, and his friends call him Mike. So he goes by Mike. But when he worked, he's retired now, people would always call him Mr. Peterson. Now, when my dad signed a document, he would always sign it Michael D. Peterson. So he used his middle name as an initial. And it always sounded very formal, very intellectual. So when I was young, I copied my dad, and I always signed my name Shane M. Peterson. And I think that sounds very intelligent. Well, listen to the next sentence. But new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent. I was right as a little child. I was correct. Scientists have done research. I think they're social scientists. But they did research and they discovered that people who use their middle name, so my middle name is Michael, as an initial, so not as Michael, but just as M. An initial is the first letter of a word or name. So Shane M. Peterson. If I use my name like that, people think or people believe that I am more intelligent. So the sentence again, new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent, are considered to be more intelligent, are believed to be smarter. Yeah! And then I give you a couple examples. Michael J. Fox. He's a famous actor on television and in the movies. His big movie was Back to the Future. Yeah, Michael J. Fox sounds kind of intelligent. And the other example, George W. Bush. Yeah, well, I know many people do not think that George W. Bush is intelligent, but whether you like him or not, by adding W in his name, it does give a feeling of more intelligence. George W. Bush. Okay. The next sentence, and multiple initials increase your intellectual image. So instead of just using one initial, if you use two or more initials, you sound even smarter. So George W. Bush, his father was also president of the United States, and his name was George H.W. Bush. Ooh, that sounds intelligent. And then there's the famous American author, J.D. Salinger. Ooh, J.D. Salinger. That sounds intelligent. So, the last sentence. From now on, call me Coach Shane M. Peterson. Please? Maybe that makes me sound more intelligent. So this is actually an interesting article, and I know many of you, especially, for example, Spanish background people, you guys have some long names, many names. So perhaps you can use this method to make yourself sound very intelligent. So you could use your first name and then your middle names, just use initials, and then use your last name. You would sound very intelligent to many Americans. Does that work in your country too? Now, as many of you know, I lived in Korea for a long time. And in Korea, they also have what you would consider 3 names. They have their family name and then their given names. Now, usually the given names work together. So, for example, Kim would be a family name and Young Chul would be the given name. So maybe for a Korean person, he could make his name Young Si Kim. Young Si Kim. Yeah, that does sound kind of intelligent. I like this. Why don't we all use this? Now, how do we use this? It's best to use when signing a letter or when writing a document. So remember, if you're ever writing a letter, a business letter, maybe an application to a university, or if you're making a report or writing an article, consider writing your name with your first name and then your middle name as an initial and then your family name. People might think you're more intelligent than you are. That's the idea. Okay, so what's in a name is the name of the article. And we do have some vocabulary words that I want you to know and understand. They're not too difficult. Once again, the title, what's in a name? Is there a deep or special meaning attached to someone's name? An initial I-N-I-T-I-A-L. An initial is the first letter of a word or name. So how about FBI? FBI, 3 initials that everyone knows. Those initials stand for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Oh, how about this? LME. LME. These 3 initials stand for Let's Master English. Yay! Another expression, are thought to be. Or we could say is thought to be. This means are considered to be or are believed to be. So apples are thought to be good for your teeth. And carrots are thought to be good for your eyes. It's a very good expression. And then the last expression I want to talk about, multiple initials. And that just means several initials. So President George W. Bush uses 1 initial, but his dad, George H. W. Bush, uses multiple initials. Okay? And if I talk about one more expression, intellectual image. The image that you have that shows how smart you are. Do you have an intellectual image? Do you have a fun image? What kind of image do you give other people? What kind of impression? Does your name sound intellectual? If you don't think your name sounds intellectual or smart, maybe you can use your initials to help increase the intellectual image of your name and of yourself. Okay, I'm going to read this story 2 more times. Once, nice and smooth. The second, normally. You ready? What's in a name? In America, most people have 3 names. Their given names, first and middle, and their family names, last name or surname. Most Americans only go by their first or last name. But new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent. Michael J. Fox, George W. Bush. And multiple initials increase your intellectual image. George H. W. Bush, J. D. Salinger. From now on, call me Coach Shane M. Peterson, please. What's in a name? In America, most people have 3 names. Their given names, first and middle, and their family names, last name or surname. Most Americans only go by their first or last name, but new research shows that people who use their middle name as an initial are thought to be more intelligent. Michael J. Fox, George W. Bush. And multiple initials increase your intellectual image. George H. W. Bush, J. D. Salinger. From now on, call me Coach Shane M. Peterson, please. How you doing, everybody? This is Country Shane, and I'm here to bring you the facts. According to the U.S. government, the most common names in America for men are James, John, Robert, Michael, and William. And for women, Mary, Patricia, Elizabeth, Jennifer, and Linda. Shane is 190th. Oh. This has been Country Shane bringing you the facts. Every year we have lists in America that tell you what the most popular names are for babies. But this list comes from the government, and it covers the last 100 years. And over the past 100 years, James is the most common name for a man. And when we say James, we can also say Jim or Jimmy. John is number 2. Robert is number 3. And for Robert, we can also say Rob or Bob. And we can also say Robbie and Bobby. And then there's Michael, or just Mike. And finally, William. And we can also say Will, or Bill, or Willie, or Billy. It's all the same name. And for the ladies, Mary, Patricia, or just Pat, or Patty, Elizabeth, or Liz, or Beth, Jennifer, or Jen, and Linda. Those are the most common names in America. Do you have an English name or a name that is related to one of these names? Let us know. If you are thinking about choosing an English name, an American-style name, these names are probably good ones to choose from. They'll be easy for Americans to remember. I don't recommend Shane because Shane is way down on the list, according to Country Shane, 190th. Oh, well. It's time for some questions, and our first question comes from Jalil. And he asks, can you tell us about the word ain't? A-I-N apostrophe T. Is it common in the U.S.? Okay, first of all, ain't is a negative contraction, and it's considered improper English. We shouldn't use this word in a formal setting or in any writing. It's not good English. Now, what ain't means is usually is not or am not or are not. So here are some examples. He ain't going. He ain't going. He ain't going. He is not going. It sounds rather country or not very intellectual. The next example, I ain't going. I ain't going. I ain't going. And we should say, I'm not going. I am not going. Another example, they ain't going. They ain't going. They ain't going. They are not going. And one more are not. You ain't going. You ain't going. You are not going. You aren't going. So those are the most common usages of ain't. Ain't is replacing isn't, am not, or are not. We can also use it to replace hasn't and haven't and do not have. So here are 3 examples. He ain't saying yet. He ain't saying yet. He hasn't sang yet. He's supposed to sing a song, but so far he has not sung a song, so we could say, he ain't sang yet. Here's another popular expression. You ain't heard nothing yet. You ain't heard nothing yet. You haven't heard nothing yet. And of course, grammatically, we should say, you haven't heard anything yet. But people who use the word ain't will also typically say nothing. So you ain't heard nothing yet. And one more example. How would you use ain't in this sentence? I don't have time. I do not have time. I'm too busy. How would you use ain't? Well, you could say, I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I ain't got time is the same as I don't have time. So, Jalil, my recommendation is to never use ain't. But it is kind of common in America. It's not common in intellectual writings or, I don't think President Obama would use ain't very often. However, sometimes we do use the word ain't to emphasize not, or even to sound funny, or sometimes to get more attention. By using that improper word, people hear it, and usually people will laugh. So, once again, Jalil, my recommendation, don't use it. But if you hear somebody who's very smart, like a professor or a famous politician or business person, and they use the word ain't, they might be using it intentionally to sound funny. Okay? Thanks for the question, Jalil. Our next question is from Batuhan. And he asks, is there any connection between the words secret and secretary? That's a good question. And yes, there is a connection. They both come from Latin. And the idea of a secretary is a person who keeps and knows secrets from the executive or from the general. So when we think of the word secretary, we think of the president of a company and his secretary. Well, that secretary probably knows all the secrets of the president and of the company. And in politics, in America, we have the President of the United States, and we also have the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State knows all the secrets of the President and the country. So yes, Patuan, these words are connected. Our next question comes from Marcio, and he's from Brazil. And he asks, how can we use the expression figured out? F-I-G-U-R-E-D, out. Figured out. It's a great phrasal verb, and it means to understand. But let's look at the words individually. Figure. A figure, as a noun, can be a number. So, give me a figure. How about 7? 7 is a figure. And give me another figure. How about 3? So 7 plus 3 equals 10. So through calculation, we can come up with the answer. We have 2 figures, and we calculate out the answer. We take those 2 figures, put them together, and what comes out? An answer of 10. So to figure something out means to take in information and then come up with an answer to solve a situation. So to figure something out means to calculate all the information and come up with an answer. So a common usage would be, Dad, I can't figure out this math problem. You don't understand how to come up with the answer. But we can also use it about people. I can't figure him out. And that just means I don't understand him. I know him, I see what he does, I see what he says, but I just don't understand him. So to figure something out means to understand something. Got it? I hope so. And we have another question from Bilal. Bilal says, give me 5 or gimme 5. Is this a good expression? Is it mostly used by African Americans when they meet? All right, that's a great question. So we say give me 5 or gimme 5. We also say high five. And you should imagine baseball players or basketball players when they see each other or after they hit a home run or make a basket, they'll take their hands, one guy's hand and another guy's hand, and they clap their hands together in the air. That's called a high five. Now, we also use this expression when we say hello to somebody or when we see somebody we know. We can be walking down the street and I can see my friend John and I can say, hey John, and I'll put my hand in the air and he will put his hand in the air and we'll clap. So it's a type of greeting, and it also means congratulations. Now this expression probably has its roots in the 1970s. And believe it or not, it was started by a black guy, and it was kind of a secret symbol to show intimacy or friendship among gay men. Really, that's the origin that many people believe of the high five. It was used in sports, but then the guy who started the high five was using it to show fidelity or friendship to other gay men. Now, almost nobody thinks of a gay relationship when we high five, but That is the origin of the expression. So don't worry, Pilar, or anybody else. If you high-five somebody, you're just saying hi, or you're just saying congratulations. It doesn't mean you're gay. And finally, I have a letter from Kira. And Kira is a DDM student, and I thought this letter was really nice, so please listen. A few DDM lessons ago, we studied Today in History. You asked about our opinion of it. Well, I find it very interesting. It's just a little bit of history, very brief, but there are always important or interesting things to learn or to review. So for me, a touch of history is more than okay. And don't stop giving us your personal opinions on the facts. I love to hear them. On the other hand, I'm one of those who suffer when the dictation is about technology. I understand some people are happy with that topic, but in my case, if I don't know what they are talking about, even the context doesn't help me do the dictation. So I have to listen many times, but I don't give up. Understanding the situation is the key to doing the dictation successfully. As it happens with Seinfeld, if I can't hear a word, I can still understand the situation, and I can use my intuition to figure out what they are saying. Another good thing about Seinfeld is that not only do we get used to the way native English speakers speak in order to improve our listening, we also learn the usage of many daily expressions. I mean, even the expressions I already know. I'm not always sure when the right time or what the appropriate situation is to use them. But after listening so often to everyday conversations, you start to become familiar with the natural way of putting things, which is something you definitely don't learn from grammar books. And in all dictations, when you give us the answers, the words I couldn't hear appear so clearly. It's like magic. How easy it is when one knows the answers. By the way, I always tell you how funny Seinfeld is, but your explanation lessons about it are even funnier. They supersede the original. I really laugh with them. Thank you so much for that letter, Kira. That means a lot to me. It tells me that you're studying hard and that the lessons, the DDM lessons, are helping you. I do like to talk about history, but as you know, Seinfeld has been a very common lesson in DDM. It's a situation comedy, and it really is based on everyday English. Lots of common expressions. So in DDM, we study history, we study technology, we study news, and we study daily English. They're very different. If you understand the subject, dictation becomes much easier. But if it's a new subject like technology, it is difficult. But the key is, Kira, as you know, never give up. Keep working. And those answers lessons, yes, it's like magic. Suddenly you can hear what those people were saying. And the explanation videos are also very important. It makes the lesson feel natural. Now, that's a great letter. And if any of you are curious about DDM, or if any of you really want to master your listening skills, your speaking skills, your pronunciation skills, your understanding of American culture, I highly, 100% recommend DDM. And don't forget, you can sign up for 8 free DDM lessons by going to www.letsmasterenglish.com/try-DDM. DDM is a serious class, but it's a fantastic class. And students who join DDM, they stay for a long time because there's so much to learn and it's so much fun. So I hope that everybody joins DDM. Okay, let me go over to iTunes, and I'm very happy. I've got a couple of people to introduce. Thank you very much for your ratings and for your comments. The first person I want to thank is Carlos Rivas from Chile. And he says, realmente mejora el oído. El mejor podcast para aprender inglés. 5 stars. Now, I think that means it actually improves your listening. Is that right, Carlos? I hope so. That's my translation, thanks to Google Translate. Thank you very much, Carlos. And then we have Mado Stap Bender from Russia. Great! Thank you. I'm going to go to Sri Lanka, and your podcasts help me improve my English. That's really great to hear, Mado Stap Bender. Is it Madostap Bender? Boy, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Now, I will remind you, in Sri Lanka, they do have a different style of pronunciation for American English. But if you speak like me, if you try to imitate my pronunciation, the people in Sri Lanka who speak English should have no problem understanding you. So good luck in Sri Lanka, and keep listening to the podcast. Then we have Ibrahim Torki Zadeh from the United States. That doesn't sound like an American name. Thank you. Excellent, Shane. You are a 5-star English coach. You streamlined English. Wow, thank you so much, Ibrahim. And then we have Ingrid Basher from the United States. Funny and beneficial. Up to now, podcast 23 is the greatest. Lots of energy and humor. Very interesting, simple stories. A live performance. Just like you were in the room with Coach Shane. Don't forget to download the newsletter from the website. It's very well written and illustrated. Thank you so much, Ingrid. And yes, my web bear, Parmy, creates a newsletter for each podcast. And we do upload it to Facebook and also to our community, Let's Master English, on Google+. But if you sign up on our website for the email list, you will get it in the email as soon as it's finished. And once again, you can sign up www.letsmasterenglish.com/try-DDM. We have another one from Brazil, Tiago P. Rodriguez. The best one. One word can describe everything about this podcast and Coach Shane. The best one. The best one. Oh, come on, Tiago. That's not one word. Those are 3 words. He's making a joke. Yes, it was very funny. I think so. Thanks a lot, Coach Shane. That's great. I appreciate it, Tiago. Obrigado. And then we have a message from Yamin1021, also from the U.S., super fun and addictive. Thank you, Coach Shane, for providing us with this useful and fun ESL podcast. I listen to the podcast every day on my way to school. I hope one day I can speak English fluently like you. I am a Chinese student studying in the U.S., so count me as one from China when you do the statistics. Thanks. Okay, Yamin, you're from China. So I should say, 谢谢. Thank you very much. And keep listening and keep practicing. and English fluency, you'll get closer and closer. And then finally from Japan, domo arigato, to baka bona papa. I hope my pronunciation is okay. I bet this is one of the most excellent podcasts in terms of English learning materials as a second language. I really appreciate Coach Shane's care and effort and dedication to this podcast. One vote from Japan. Once again, thank you so much. Baka bona papa. Baka bona papa. Does that mean you're the father of Baka bona? Who's Baka bona? Maybe it's your son or your daughter? Anyway, sincerely, I appreciate everybody who leaves a comment. And on iTunes, if you leave a rating, that helps people find our podcasts. And I do want to announce I have started a new podcast. That's right. The name of the new podcast is Daily Easy English Expressions. And if you're familiar with my channel on YouTube, I call it E Cubed. It's that channel, all of the lessons in MP3 format. Now, I re-record every lesson. So I went back to the beginning, and sometimes I changed the dialogues. I created a new audio file, and it's very convenient. So I hope that everybody starts listening to Daily Easy English Expressions. It will be on iTunes. Hopefully it is by now, but sometimes iTunes takes a few days. But once again, I hope that you enjoy that. It is daily, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, trust me, this is a lot of work. I have to do everything. And it actually costs a lot of money to have a daily podcast. So for that podcast, I do have two sponsors that you will hear during the podcast. One is Grammar Checker, fantastic channel, and the other is DDM. So if you want to support me, if you like these podcasts, if you want these podcasts and free lessons to continue, I do need your support. So join DDM, check out www.letsmasterenglish.com/grammar and master your writing skills, master your listening skills. That's what I'm here for. Thank you so much. You guys have a fantastic week. And remember, let's master English.